Hello, here I am again. I was thinking more on the medicine, how I was saying, medicine men and women didn't accept, they accepted donations, bartering system, though that wasn't told beforehand. But they never put a price to their services when they were going to go attend to somebody in the tribe or the community. That individual could, for them or their child or loved one, they would generally gift them something, whether they made them a good meal, gifted them feathers, which was an honorary thing as a native to be gifted, or donated money. They could take money as donations. There was a few reasons for this. I was commenting on a fellow brother, I would say, soul fam, that is running kind of a practice of, spiritual, and they're doing a free workshop to learn how to better serve your clients and make money. One reason that they didn't do this was intent, because the intent of the medicine was very important for it to work in the spiritual realms. You should not, it's just like pastors charging for things. I don't trust those because, again, there's intent. Another thing is knowledge should be free. The highest form of unconditional love is the sharing of knowledge, particularly when it comes to things that we should all have access, which is medicine. The medicine men were the preachers. They were the pastors, as we call them today, because they came in and administered to their spirit. They believed, they didn't really look upon, also, I want to touch upon this, they didn't really say, schizophrenic, bipolar, all these different things. They understood soul loss and soul retrieval. So they understood that there was a time that the child, adult, what have you, whether they're working with the adult, going back into the childhood, or whether they're working with the child, there was a point that their soul was separated. There was something, a traumatic event that happened that they got what you call soul loss. So they worked with the individual to retrieve the soul. And like I said, the individual, the family, what have you, would gift them. They oftentimes would fast and go into the woods in a way to go into the spirit realms, contact the ancestors to know how to better serve the individual and themselves that were with the issue that was at hand. They would to get the knowledge, to gain the knowledge, because in traumatic situations, a lot of times the victim or survivor can't recall everything. They can't go back into their trauma, and they don't know why what's going on with them is. So it was up to the medicine man, woman, shaman, what have you, to bring those things and intuitively, kind of by working along them, through their spirit, through intent and all these things, to understand and the issues they were having going along with, the medicine, linking them up. There's certain patterns that they could go into and figure out what the trauma was and how to go about bringing the soul back before it was lost, if that makes sense. One individual I've studied a lot under about learning some things in relationships is Till Swan, and she has a video about, making money and why we shouldn't have these blocks as individuals that are in these types of, therapeutic, psychological. Now, she doesn't have a degree. She recreated her own. She's a game changer. I love Till, whether she charges or not. She puts enough free content out there that, I kind of give her a pass. She's so awesome. No. But, I see she, workshops, you want to do special ones more on one-on-one, then they would charge. I have a block there. I went through a high conflict divorce. I was systematically trafficked, I would call it. That's when you go into the courts and you're bought and sold through the courts, basically. And I'm not even human trafficking takes on many forms. We have work, we have sex, we have system. It's an area people don't realize that these are soul trading markets. They're not courts. They're just making money off the backs of the broken. And kind of happened to me. I was unlawfully imprisoned. I was legally entrapped. Then thrown to the streets, and there's questions even more beyond that. Programming, how long has this been going on? Who are the individuals that were really there to help me, and who are actually who knows? I do know, I do have confirmation that there are some things going on, and the people involved, it's principalities of power. First, I'll get into that as well. So when you go into the court systems, many times in universities, all these, Christ, he dealt in, particularly, like I'd say the universities, the Sadducees and the Pharisees. He went up against those who were turned into the scholars. They really picked upon the part, and he called them out. He went into the temples and took his whips. Remember, in the realm of WWJD, getting whipped is in the realm of possibilities. I call it the righteousness of Jah. I love that part, because you know what? Sometimes we should be angry about certain things. There's nothing wrong with being righteous. However, I was going to, because I don't even know if it was so much they were practicing tarot and these type of things. They were changing money. They were making money off of in the temples. And so that even goes back there. I think a lot of people look at, I don't consider myself the world's Christian. I'm more of what you call a contrarian. I'm native. Contrarian means I have to prove to myself. I've dived into other areas like the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I've got a lot of just source knowledge. The Holy Spirit will guide you. Going out on the land, I call it living history. I've found a lot of my roots while going out on the land. My own grandma always said we were a lost tribe. There's an Indian mound here not far, Sneed Island, Emerson Point, and there's the Trail of the Lost Tribes, and then there's a homestead on there that some of the pilgrims came here, they didn't all slaughter the natives. Some of them came and they helped to grow fruit and protect the land and help them. Well, that's my maiden name on my father's side. They had a homestead there, so I'm like, take it back my house. No. But, I've really, it's something I'm drawn to. Right after the hurricane, the woman I did stay with recognized this. She's like, you're a good worker. I didn't even know what that was. And I'm like, oh, I've always wondered what it was, because I was really drawn to DeSoto Memorial. Well, the monolith, not the monolith, it's like one, sorry, the word has slipped my mind, but it was about the 12 priests. It got knocked over. They had indefinitely shut down it. So if you know anything about it, they were very good about telling the story of the natives here and the El Conquistadors, like DeSoto and Cortez, and how, DeSoto, how he came in and caught their houses on fire, chained them up. You could even walk, they had little trails you walk through, and they had the natives with chains around their necks. The war dogs that came in, the war pigs, which the natives took over some of those. But also they said, that they were confused because the natives would disappear and reappear like ghosts. There's a documentary they would do. You could go on the little thing and watch the documentary, and then you went. They had a camp there. It was Camp UTI. Anyway, this last hurricane, it got hit, and I didn't know so much about the Catholic priest. It's actually right next to it, a little preserve next to it, but that's DeSoto was actually, because there's another church that was down from there that I got led to. I love going out to the statues. Mother Teresa, Michael Archangel, he's like my guy, right? I love Michael. Mary, I love Mary. So I just go, of course, Christ and everything. I'd go and check out the statues, and I seen DeSoto, and I'm like, what? DeSoto is up here with the saints. What the hell's going on? Or maybe he was in another area. So obviously there's always, like the Knights of Templar started as a good, righteous thing. There's always infiltration that kind of comes through. I think that's the Masons as we'd have today. I won't go too far in that, because we're talking about networks, and I'm getting into networks. And these are people that are stating that they're taking down these networks. And these are people that aren't just little no-name networks. When I get into it, they're very much up in high, the principalities of power, so we don't fight against flesh and blood, right? So they'll jump into them. That's why the Constitution is so important, because God knew within the hearts of man that these principalities of power would come in, and that any of them could be infiltrated. So that's what happens. In the systems, churches, universities, the courts, the principalities of power are what we're up against. And they're spirits that jump in those people that come at us, for those that love Yahweh, Christ, Yeshua, whatever you want to call him.